Hi, it is wonderful to note that many academicians from various corners of the world have joined online. This is really amazing to be with you. I am really happy. And also, I congratulate the college which has organized this event. And that college is, most importantly, that college is located in remote part of India. So it's really a great work, great job they are doing. Now coming to the theme of the conference, that the environmental issues and sustainable development. First of all, we'll see that the environmental issues have been cropped up because of our culture, because of our society, because of our greediness, because of our high consumerism, because of the culture created by corporate sector. That's why it is a great threat to sustainable development. Why we want sustainable development? Sustainable development is based on the principles of equity, and that's why we want to protect environment. So if environment is protected, if environment is conserved, disparity would be reduced. The gap between affluence and the poor people is reduced. Another thing is that if environment is intact, the problems like food security, poverty, then healthcare to all such issues cannot crop up. This was imagined by a great philosopher, freedom fighter, leader of freedom fighter of South Africa and India, Mahatma Gandhi. I would call him not only just the father of nation, but he was father of modern civilization. Modern civilization based on human culture, based on human principles. And what are those principles? That all the people should get good food, good water, good health care, good education, and so on. So, according to him, according to Gandhiji, according to Gandhi, the Western culture is trying to deteriorate our indigenous culture. The industrialization has developed the economic system in which exploitation for profit making has become important, and no concern about society, no concern about poor people. And Gandhiji's idea was that if you want to design any policy, please look at the poorest of poor, whether he or she is to be benefited, then and then only your policies can be considered to be good. So, if we want to adopt this philosophy, and it is the need of the hour, why sustainable development is essential? Sustainable development is a need of hour mainly because it is based on the goal of existence of human race on this planet. Don't worry about this planet. The planet was existing crores of years back when man started his existence. Only thing is that lifespan of human race should be expanded, and now all environmental our activities going against environment, and this has put forth the major issue that there can be catastrophic effect of such environmental degradation, calamities will be there, and human race itself is at risk. And that's why this concept of sustainable development has been put forth by Brundtland Commission, which was appointed by General Assembly of United Nations in 1986. And Brundtland, one who is heading the commission, was the politician, great politician. She was former Prime Minister of Norway. She was expert in ecology and environment. And she has pointed out that the culprits of environmental damage are the rich people, while sufferers are the poor people. The principles put forth by this commission in a big report, Our Common Future, the report Our Common Future states that the unless and until social equity is achieved, unless and until economic equity is achieved, unless and until environmental conservation is achieved, sustainable development cannot be possible. Environment has also these dimensions. The economic system is most important cause of environmental damage. The socio-cultural aspects are also there responsible for environmental damage. For example, what is high consumerism? Why we use cosmetics? Because we are taught, we are trained to use cosmetics. So this, why we are using pesticides? Rachel Carson, in her book Silent Spring, she has told that you are polluting, you are adding toxins in the nature, and nature will definitely give back to you all such toxins. Take the case of heavy metals present in pesticides. These heavy metals, once they are entered into the ecosystem, they are accumulated, biological. So that's why it is bioaccumulative substance. Such heavy metal based pesticides are called as bioaccumulative substances. If thus such substances cannot be removed from human body, cannot be removed from the body of the plant, cannot be removed from the agricultural products, vegetables, milk, and so on. And that's why it has posed the issues like the next generation people are impacted. So this impact is on next generation. So this is such kind of toxins, toxic materials are creating the problem for the future generations. It has been observed in case of birds and especially in case of vultures that there are incidences that the many birds and or vultures, they 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 have some deformity at the time of birth. So this means that, so it enters into your genetics, and that is the issue, and therefore we should take care of such toxic materials. So far as pollution is concerned, we can certainly say that the culprits are the rich people. Even if you just see that the high consumption of food material, consumption of oil, if you see the oil, consumption of coal or carbon fossil fuel is about 400, 500 times more than, of course I am telling you per capita consumption in developed countries compared. Most importantly, such kind of abundance creates more waste. If you look at per capita waste generation, then you can find that it is also 500, 400 times more in various developed countries compared to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. So this means that I will just tell you one example of waste generation. During this COVID-19, uh, we need some sophisticated healthcare system, and that is creating a lot of plastic waste. Or apart from COVID-19, you can just, before COVID-19 also, you can find that the waste generation per cot in United States of America is more than 5 kg, while waste generation per bed in the hospital is about few grams in Bangladesh or Sri Lanka, or means developing countries. So whether we should go for highly sophisticated tools in healthcare system, highly sophisticated tools in industrial production, manufacturing sector, or we should have the soft technology. This is to be decided. This is mainly dependent on the uh, economy that you choose. One need not be socialist or communist to understand the problems of poverty, problems of poor people, or only thing that the human values, if you consider human values, we have to address the issues at bottom of pyramid. And I know the figures, statistics regarding our country, that about 65% of the families have monthly income up to 10,000 rupees, 85 up to 20,000. This means that only 15% families in India have the income more than 20,000 rupees per month. So this means that this class 15% people are creating the toxic materials, pollution, and all such things. Now take the case of, there are three major environmental issues at global level. Why we call it as global level issues? Because pollution in your own region, in your own country, or waste created in your own country cannot remain in your country. There is a transboundary movement of pollutants, air pollutants, water pollutants, and the solid waste as well. So this kind of the transfer of waste from rich to poor and exploitation of resources from poor regions to rich regions. So this, ladies and gentlemen, let us see how solid waste can move from national boundaries. The used vessels, so they are sent to the countries like India and for as a scrap, because it contains good quality steel, but it has some toxic materials like asbestos. So the workers who are recovering steel from that particular vessel which is unused are exposed to this kind of toxic material, and they are uh, they can show some diseases even like cancer. This kind of trade or this kind of trade is called, this kind of transfer of waste from rich countries to poor countries is called as NIMBY syndrome. NIMBY. The long form is not in my backyard. And this syndrome is supported by WIMBY syndrome. WIMBY. Welcome in my backyard. So you can find WIMBY syndrome in developing countries and NIMBY syndrome in the rich countries. Thanks to the environmental organizations like Greenpeace, which has stopped this kind of trade. So even to protect biodiversity, the international rule is that you cannot transport with you the ivory goods, because the trade of ivory goods is responsible for killing elephants and supporting the lobby which are killing elephants and the mafia people. So that's why it is banned internationally. So these are the efforts that we have taken care. In 1992, which was considered to be first World Summit based on this report, Our Common Future, so that conference is called as, the theme of the conference or even the name of the conference is Environment Development. It and elaborated Agenda 21, means Agenda for 21st Century. Same is considered in the next conferences at Johannesburg in 2001, in Rio at 2011, and there will be another conference on environment and development. So if we consider the Agenda 21, you can find that the major principle is that you should, Agenda 21 is based on cooperation among the nations, and it has underlined one important principle, that is local self-governance should be empowered. And not only that, those who are signatories, India is also signatory, about 193 countries have signed this Agenda 21, and it is suggested that when you go back to your country, try to pass it in the apex legal body. In India, it is Parliament of India, and Parliament of India has approved Agenda 21, and that's why the amendment 73, 74 have been made. So this gives empowerment to the local governments. means whether our forest resources are to be exploited by us or not, or this is the decision taken by villagers in Gram Sabha. So, the example of Mendha Lekha village in Gadchiroli district can be, it is on the border of Chhattisgarh and Maharashtra. It is interesting to note that the people have struggled for almost 10-15 years and they have achieved that right to use the forest resources. And that's why they are using those resources in a sustainable manner. If this would have given to some contractor, contractor would have raised the bamboos and sold it in 1 year or 2 years. But still bamboo forest is there and also they are using it. And this has made them rich and rich. And that's why another thing is must be noted. I had you can listen to the Mohan Bhai Hiralal. So Mohan says that I am just associated with this development. I am not the leader of those people. The people, all the villagers have decided it. And how they have decided? They believe in democracy and they considered that we are in democratic country. There is government at Delhi, our government is there at Delhi, our government is there at Mumbai, and in our village we are the government. हम ही सरकार है. So this is a very good slogan and that's why all the decisions are made by Gram Sabha. So their rule is simple that all the decisions should be made with 100% support of the people. If one person is opposing, then he should be convinced and then only that decision is taken. So this kind of democracy, you can find that it is. Let me share with you another example of Hivre Bazar. This village is situated in a drought prone area receiving rainfall around about 20 centimeters. So they have constructed the watershed, means the contour trenching and all these things, means they have fulfilled all the watershed management practices and they have improved the groundwater resource. But why they are sustainable? Because this improved groundwater resource is utilized for the benefit of all the people in the village. So we can find that the reverse migration of people who have left the village, they have come back. So this is another, the rule is that you, for agriculture purpose, you should use dug wells for irrigation. So this means that the dug wells, you can just pump out the water and you have to wait for accumulation of water in dug well. Bore wells are allowed only for drinking purposes and they are located in various parts of the village, and in this way they are using the water resource and they are getting more and more benefits, more and more money. There are millionaires in their village. Comparatively, we can see the practices of developed nations. In Kyoto conference in 1996 on climate change, it was clearly mentioned that the culprits of climate change are the developed nations, industrially developed nations. They are listed in Annex A. So Annex A countries, it was decided in the conference that Annex A countries should reduce their carbon emission by 5.6% by 2000. They failed miserably. No country could achieve this target, even till today. Now, let me put it in this way, whether we should follow Mindaleka model, Hivre Bazar model, or the industrially developed countries. And therefore, we can definitely understand the importance of Gandhi's idea of development. So, my message to all the delegates is that try to develop the studies based on local empowerment, local wisdom, and so that we can learn more and more things from them.